Welcome everyone to Low Tech Teaching, um, um, making student interaction the energy that drives your lessons. I opened with Big Yellow Taxi, which is Joni Mitchell's song from many, many years ago that the Counting Crows have redone. And I opened with that song because in the song she says, do you know, um, they paved paradise and put up a parking lot. And how is it that we don't always know about how great something is until it's gone? And I feel like big tech is just coming right in and paving over our classrooms. And they aren't asking us really. They're just coming in and doing it. In the song, she says, why you want to give it all away? Why you want to give it? And I feel like we've turned over, or we're in the process of turning over a lot of I don't want to say teaching has always been a paradise, but we're just openly giving away, our autonomy and the personal connections between teacher and student over to big tech. And I hate it. And I see it everywhere, not just in classrooms. I see it in airports, in restaurants, in elevators, in taxis. They're just streaming us. They're putting their screens in front of our faces constantly. And so this workshop is really about how can we take back the classroom? How can we unpave it? And it sounds like Norm, similar to your book, the stripping down. Can we get back to what really matters? And I think we're really in almost a crisis right now where kids are not getting enough interaction. And I would also argue adults as well.
Bill,
So,
before you go further, your slides are not showing now since you stopped your music.
yes, yes, no,
Okay,
I haven't switched over to
just making
slides.
sure.
Thank you,
Perfect.
Christine. That really brings us to the conundrum of this workshop. This is a workshop on low tech teaching, but yet I have to do it here on a high tech platform. And we're not in the same room, we're not breathing the same air. And so I have to figure out what's the best way to deliver this information to you, even though I'm bound by these virtual 2D images. So I'm going to describe a lot of strategies. I'm going to try to model it as best I can. But really, and this is not a sales pitch, you should have me or one of my associates come to your school, not because we're a business and we're trying to, sell you on something, but because we really believe in this. And our company doesn't just talk about it. We'll go into your classrooms and model a lot of these ideas and strategies. And in most cases, I don't want to say 100%, but a very high, people love it. The kids love it. The teachers love it. The administrators love it because what we're really trying to do is bring joy and connection and also learning. Because it turns out that these ideas that make kids connect also are the ones that really drive them understanding and remembering the key concept and the key skills that we're trying to get at. So that is my introduction. Big Yellow Taxi. Um, let's not have them pave over our paradise. Okay, I'm gonna open up my desktop here to share with you the slides from today. Um, Low tech teaching. That's the song that I played for you. Don't always seem to go. You don't know what you've got till it's gone. They paved paradise, and I don't think we should be giving it away. So let's take it back and get down to basics. So here's how I want to start. You need a piece of paper or something. You could do it in the chat if you wanted to, but I want you to think about some things that you love. Maybe a food that you love, a place you love, a living thing. Could be a caterpillar, could be a leopard. What do you love? Or another human? And what's an activity you love? Uh, um, and is there a time of day that's like special to you? So see if you can take 1 minute, there's your time quota, and get at least three things that you love. Just jot them down really quickly on a piece of paper. I'm going to set my timer. Go. Something that you love. Okay? And this is a little based on the Broadway show, which is on Broadway right now, called Every Brilliant Thing. And Daniel Radcliffe was in it. And it's a really wonderful play. I haven't seen it, but I've heard a lot about it. Um, and I put a link in there. You can read the review of it, but it really based on this idea of embracing the small beauties of everyday life. Okay, do you have some things you love? Okay. If you did it on paper, even if you're not done, get ready to hold them up. I want to see that you've written something down that you love, some things that you love. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Okay, time's up. Hold them up. Let me see. Hold up your papers like this into this video camera. Great job, Norm. John, thank you very much. Christine. Okay, and Barbara, well done. Okay, so that's a quick rate. We'll be talking a little bit about in the workshop today. Get kids to get their ideas out on the paper. In this case, find out about your kids. What do they love? What is their passion? Now, I might do a little extra here. I might say, can you put some of those things you love into one sentence? Here I'm attacking the idea of sentence building. So let me show you one that I did. I love eating strawberries and chocolate while taking hikes in the Blue Hills, sunset hikes, with my loyal dog Biscuit. So there I snuck in what I love, the food, with the activity, who I love, my dog, a place, the Blue Hills, and a time of day. Or in the mornings, I could start with a prepositional phrase. I love reading picture books to my 7-year-old nieces, Hattie and Phoebe, while my brother slices peaches to feed us. So see if you can take one more minute and turn one of your things into a sentence, and then you can just type it into the chat if you wanted to, or we can have you read it. I'm going to go to open the chat up here. There's the chat. Oh, there we go. There's a lot been written about sentence combining. And here we have what could be 5 separate sentences. I love this, I love this, I love this, I love this. But over the course of the year, I'm going to be teaching you different ways to combine those sentences with clauses if you're in fourth or fifth or sixth grade, prepositional phrases, conjunctions. Um, how can we maybe have a verb phrase to start? Reading to my 7-year-old nieces is one of my favorite activities. Okay, Barbara's got her. I love waking up to see the morning sunrise. And then at the end of the day, walking during dusk and get a wonderful sentence. We also have, I love the early morning peace unless I'm in Nashville where I can wake up and hear incredible music. Okay, great. I love the unless switch there. And then we have, I love walks on the beaches of coastal Maine with my doodles. Very specific detail. Thank you, Christine. Daisy and Rocky. And then snuggling up to read at bedtime. That's fantastic sentence. These are great sentences. Great work, team. So that's the idea. As a warm up, is to tap into what feeds people. What is their joy? What do they love? And then, you can sneak in a lot of your writing instruction by showing kids how to combine it. And maybe you can post those on the wall or however you feel that makes the most sense. Okay, let me keep going here. Here's our agenda today. The quandary of the workshop I already explained. How do I do a low-tech teaching workshop on Zoom? Why low-tech teaching? So I'm going to show you a couple of minutes of why I think this is super important, and then walk you through 3. I love this phrase from Jerry Morris, one of the Collins associates. He always used to say this: simple but powerful. And I think that a lot of the best things in life are that way. They're very simple little things. I have on my book back here, The Power of Habit, which it describes how you put some of these really simple things, make them habits for yourself. So that's our thing. Then I'm going to take you a second strategy with a little bit of charades that you can use for math or science or social studies or ELA. And we'll end with a quiz trade activity that I think really, again, puts students at the center of the instructional day. Okay, so let's go. Here's why. This is a recent study from Common Sense Media. It turns out by 2 years old, 4 in 10 children have their own tablet. And by 4 years old, more than half of children do. So this is what we're really up against, is this kind of increasing dependence on screens as young as 2 years old. Here's another one. Children 8 and younger spend 2.5 hours a day with screen media. Now, again, we had television when I was growing up, so I don't want to be saying this is a brand new thing, but it is growing and growing and growing, simply because the kids have their screens with them all the time. So that's our younger set. The New York Times recently surveyed teachers to find out how much screen time was happening in middle school. And this is what the teachers reported. How much screen time are kids getting at school? 3 or more hours. 40% of the teachers said 3 or more hours. That's crazy. So the data is showing us that kids, as we know, are getting so much screen time. That has to come at the expense of something. Um, Here was something I read in the Stanford Social Innovation Review. I found this in the Marshall Memo, which I love. Um, Isabel, what's her last name? Isabel Howe writes, the defining challenge of our time is not whether artificial intelligence will advance, it will, but whether we intentionally cultivate the RQ, relational intelligence, that makes those advances serve human flourishing rather than undermine it. In an era marked by loneliness, fragmentation, and the substitution of technology for human presence, relational intelligence is under threat and newly indispensable. So, one of the things that struck me in that quote is just this naming this thing, relational intelligence, and thinking about how we as teachers can bring that into the discussion whenever we talk about AI. Without this ability to navigate a relationship, we are social creatures just like the wolves. I think we're doomed. And again, these bots are coming in to pretend to be humans as therapists, as friends. Kids are turning to them, but they're not the same because there's no tension, there's no friction in that relationship. And teaching kids to be able to navigate those complexities when you're in a relationship with another human being is critical for happiness. Okay, so these are just a couple of pictures that I took from that website. I just feel that this is the way we're going. This is the paving of paradise. You see it all the time. No one's paying attention to the teacher over here. They're all on their screens and they're just sleeping or on an inappropriate website. And again, I'm not saying no tech teaching, but I feel that we've given away way too much. Now, having said that, it's not just our job to focus on are the kids happy? Are they socially adjusting? We also know from John Hattie, who developed this barometer of influence to try to describe what effect size different teaching strategies had. Um, it's very clear from his research that the things that make the biggest effect, many of the things involve relationships. Certainly, clear teaching is super important. Self-reported grades, things like that. But look at these three. Student-teacher relationships has an effect size of 0.72. You know, in Australia there, they use the comma instead of the decimal point. But that's a huge effect size. That's almost 2 years of growth for 1 year in school. Classroom cohesion, peer influences all come in really high in terms of effect size. And then cooperative learning type things, pretty big effect size. Peer tutoring, cooperative versus competitive. We know that a lot of the things that make students learn more are also things that build community and happiness and joy and connection. So it's not just that we are going to be working on this just to build community. It also drives student learning. Okay, so how's that so far? Any questions? No questions? No questions. Okay. Now, our first strategy today is the quick write. In the Collins writing program, we call these type ones. And if it's a quick write to check for understanding, we call it a type two. But the idea with the quick write is I'm going to ask you to write something quickly, and I'm going to actually time you and measure whether I can get you thinking. So the idea here is every kid is going to participate. My prompt is going to be so open-ended that there's no reason that you can't write something. So the quick write I want you to do is I want you to take a look at this picture. This is from the New Yorker, 2006, and it's by block this thing out here. Oops, back up. Um, it's called Thanksgiving Feast by, can someone read that? By somebody? Where, I think?
Chris Ware.
Chris Ware. Thank you, Barbara. Okay, so my quick write for you is on your paper, you have 1.5 minutes. I want you to write down at least three similarities between the two images or differences. I don't care whether you do all differences, all similarities, or some. Now, always say at least, because you don't want kids getting three and say done. So take a look at those two images, this Thanksgiving feast. What can you notice in there? What do you see? How are they similar? How are they different? And get something down. Like for example, you could say, "Oh, the top scene feels like a warmer. It's got colors of purple and soft oranges. And the bottom scene, the colors are brighter and more sterile." You could write something like that. What do you see? What's the same? They're both. So get those down really quick. I'll stop talking. I'll give you another minute. How are they similar or different?
Bill, Bill,
Yes.
do we
Yes.
need three each or
No. Three, great question, John. Three total.
okay.
And any combination, 3 and 0, 2 and 1. But if you get three, try to get more. Sometimes you might have the kids draw a line and put the similarities on one side and the differences on the other. And you could be setting them up for a matrix, perhaps. I might even give you characteristics to focus on, social, color, technology, speed. Okay, so that's a quick write. I picked a scene. If I was doing it with the younger kids, I might pick something more simple, like this image. And if it's kindergarten, I might even say just turn and talk. But the idea would be, what's an image that you feel like is rich, and kids could look at it and immediately get ideas. If it's the solar system, is it a math equation, a graph? What could they look at? Okay, hold up your papers, boys and girls. Let me see that you've written something there. Great work. Everyone give yourself a check. I'm going to put it in my grade book. Everyone is participating. There's no check minus. There's no check plus. It's just, did you do it? Did you complete the quick write? You get a check. So I'm really trying to push participation and a way to measure effort with my quick write. I want to draw everyone in, and I want to talk about how important this is for thinking. Okay, now I'm going to send you into the chat room. And what I want you to do is I want you to do something called check, add, and star. I could have you do a turn and talk, right? If I didn't have time. But I like this one so much because it's going to make this much more accountable. So you're going to check anything you had in common with your partner. So if I was partnered with Christine and we both said, "Oh, it looked like, the one difference was no one was talking to each other when in the thing," and then we'd check that. And you might not have any checks, but if you do, put a check.
I do have
Then,
that.
yeah. Then I want you to draw a line in the chat room, and add something that your neighbor said that was different from you. If you don't have anything that's different, think of something new together that you could add. Okay. And then finally, if you have time, I want you and your partner to agree on two that you think are very important things to notice. And put a star next to those. Again, if you're in first grade or kindergarten, maybe just circle those. What are the things in the picture that you think would be worth discussing? Okay, so I'm going to send you the chat. Everyone go like this. Say, check what you have in common. Make a check in the air. Check what you have in common. Right below the line. Okay, you got to get one thing below the line. And then star two. Not your best two, or maybe your partner's smarter than you. Put theirs on her on yours. Any two that you think will work, that you think are important. Does that make sense? Everybody good? Everyone say check, add, and star. Say that out loud. Check,
Check,
add, and
add,
star.
star.
Great job. Okay, I'm sending you into the chat rooms. Not the chat rooms. Where is it? Where blah, 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 blah. Christine?
Breakout.
Breakout rooms, right. Breakout rooms. You ready? I'm going to create, how many breakout rooms? I'm going to create one, two,
Three.
three. And there's only,
You're
is
the
there
math
just,
person.
is there five of us? How many of us are there? Oh, six of us. Okay, so three. Thank you, Barbara. Three breakout rooms. Are you ready? Include the co-host. Go. Check, add, and star, everybody. Good work. Good luck. Just you only have 2 minutes. I just feel like this is like disapparating.
It's good so far.
Um, I feel like John is in a room by himself, so
Oh,
I'm gonna move him
how is
into
that
room
possible?
3 with Barbara.
Oh, because he's with the. Okay. Yeah, because there's that other person who is on a dark screen, so we don't know what time.
Lori and Norm in theory. We didn't get put in one. I thought it said put the co-host in there.
Okay.
Um, I can jump in to see if Norm's doing. I'm gonna join in that one. Why don't you join in John and Barbara's room? Do you know how to do that?
Okay. Yeah. Yep.
Mute myself. I always feel like that's like Harry Potter. We're disapparating. You know what I mean? It's the closest I could get to that feeling of like I'm here and now I'm somewhere else.
It's funny you have that conundrum, Bill, because my book, I did all the drawings with AI.
Yeah, no, exactly. I have a. I'm going to do these gestures with you next, and I've used a little AI to like create the gesture that I want,
Uh-huh.
and it's just crazy,
Yeah.
what how quickly it can render images.
Yeah.
I feel bad for all the graphic artists because it's just scraping the whole internet to come up with different things. Okay, welcome back, everybody.
Hey,
All right. So, that strategy, check, add, and star. It's a little bit like turn and talk, but because it has the extra piece of writing below the line, and then the extra piece of starring or circling, um, it sets you up for a much better discussion. And I think the learning becomes a little bit more personalized because I talked about my idea with someone else. Now, if your kids are shy or introverted, they're going to be more willing to share because they've already tested their ideas out on someone else. And Norm told me my idea was good. I told him his idea, so we're good. So that's the essence of that strategy. It starts with a quick write, and it moves to um, something more. Does that make sense? This is again simple, but changes everything. Now, the next thing I would try to do is something called talk moves. And talk moves are a way to turn your classroom from tennis to volleyball. So what I'm gonna do now with you is if you were my class, I'm gonna call on someone, maybe someone has their hand up or maybe not, and then I'm gonna ask someone else to repeat what that person says. Like that's the most basic one. I would say to Norm, what did she say? And I'm not doing this as a punitive measure, the way they might have back in the old days when you're looking out the window and your teacher calls on you to embarrass you. I'm doing it to say, look, you have to look at the person who's talking. Then we'll move from that to saying, do you agree with that? Do you disagree? Who can add on to that? Or why do you think she said that? Can you explain her idea? Can you any evidence for that? Why you disagree? So you got to turn your mutes off. I'll go back to the image because I forgot to tell you to take a picture of it when you're in the chat rooms. So Christine, what was one thing that you noticed that was a similarity or difference between the two images?
I noticed that in the top picture, everybody was kind of talking to each other around the table, whereas in the bottom picture, they're all turned facing and watching the football game.
Barbara, what did Christine just say? I didn't quite get it.
Christine just told us that she noticed that people in the first picture were gathering around the table talking to each other. Whereas in the second picture, they're all together, but they're just staring at a TV screen.
Can you give me a specific example of what's happening, John, in the bottom image that's different along this point of the connections?
Well, everyone, it feels like I'm being redundant, but everyone is looking at the screen and not at each other. In Thanksgiving feast, as a comment on that. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Norm, what were you saying about rushedness and evidence for rushedness?
It looks to me like the table is just sort of thrown together versus the top where it's a very decorative type of setting. And you mentioned when we were talking that the can in the back shows that it was probably thrown together as well rather than being homemade.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
you get the
wow.
feeling that the game's coming on. We gotta get to the TV.
Yeah, wait a second. Norm needs a career as an art critic here. That's terrific, Norm.
Wow.
So yes, and in fact, in the top image, if you look, there's a calendar on the wall that says 1942, and you get the sense that not to be rose-colored glasses, but that the things that happened in 1942, there wasn't the same presence of technology. I'm not even sure television was invented in 1942. And there was a sense that the activity is each other. So you could use these talk moves now to really drive a conversation of what do you think Chris Ware is trying to say? And you could almost get to like a thesis statement or a claim about how he thinks technology is affecting our culture. And you might move even to more sophisticated ideas like how does he use color in the pictures or even there's electrical outlet in the bottom picture where there isn't one. The heating system in the top picture is radiant heating, almost a metaphor for how we can warm our lives up with each other. Whereas in the bottom picture, it's probably that baseboard heating on the floor and the fluorescent lighting, which makes it seem like a hospital room as opposed to a warm dinner. Then in the final activity with this activity, I always tell the kids, I think this is the same family like 30 years later. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah. Look at the top. You see the kid reading the comics with the gray hair? I think he's at the table over there on the left side. And so the kids start looking for that and they're like, oh my God, that's probably right. And I think Chris Ware did that intentionally. I think he says this family in 2006, it doesn't really line up because it's probably too many years, but is a grown-up version. And look what's happened to them. They're not even taking the time to set the table and so forth and so on. Okay.
Hey, Bill, real quick,
yes.
They also didn't have time to match their chairs up.
No, exactly. They're just grabbing everything. And I don't know, maybe some of those chairs got broken, but there's a sense of and again, there's a little bit of alienation. The little kids are both apart from the table, but some kids have argued to me that the girl on her phone in the bottom one is actually the only one who's connecting with another human being.
Wow.
She's doing it virtually on a telephone. Anyway, so this is an example of a quick write that leads to a discussion, that leads to a claim or a topic sentence of your paper. Okay, and again, I've done the similar one with this book, Penny Lee and Her TV, where we just look at the introductory image. What do we know about Penny Lee? What do you think this book's going to be about? What are some of the details that you can notice in that picture? Okay, any questions so far? Yes, John Collins.
Just a quick comment, Bill. Henry made a living showing old, oh God, was it Post or cover story, Norman Rockwell pictures from the covers of the magazine that he was illustrated for. And they always had an incredible story like that.
Yes.
So, for the teacher who might say, that's a great one, Bill. Do you have any others? There's a Norman Rockwell retrospective book that has those great covers, and they're probably pretty easy to get on the internet.
Yes, that's a great point. And I think we really want to engage kids in this higher order thinking, but sometimes the reading it disables us. So kids didn't read the passage closely. They have trouble sometimes being able to support their ideas with evidence. But here with an image, I think it's like equal access. So, I mean, it could be the realm of the art teacher, but in a social studies class, giving some equal time to interpretation of a visual image eliminates that reading barrier that might be present for some kids. Now, I'm not saying reading's not important. Reading is hugely important, but this thinking skills need a lot of practice as well.
Bill, I was also going to say it levels access. So, people who just see the surface level, the images, and then you have the students who can think deeper, just as Norm did. And you're modeling that. So everybody's hearing, seeing, and experiencing, and not just looking at their own paper or their own experience.
Absolutely. And I think that I have to be careful. This 1942, schools were still segregated. Women did not have the same opportunities. I'm not trying to say that was like a beautiful era, but I think Chris Ware is trying to point out that the technology is affecting our culture. So I think I just have to walk that line carefully. I'm not judging you if you watch TV while you have dinner. At the same time, what maybe are we missing? Okay. The second strategy, and I've got to speed up a little bit, is can we take some of the vocabulary that we all use every day in classrooms, both domain-specific vocabulary like rise over run, positive slope, negative slope, but also academic words like compare, contrast. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to walk you through, and I want you to just do what I do. So we're going to play a little follow the leader, okay? And I'm going to take you through a bunch of words. I'm going to get out of the sharing mode. And I want you to just do whatever I do. In the classroom, the kids would say what I say. So if you have your mute on, you can just say it out loud in your house. But here we go. Ready? I'm going to teach you maybe like 30 words that are really important for this kind of discussion. And I have words for math as well on my YouTube channel. But here's some of the words. Everyone go like this. Go like this. Go like this. Say, got to change this. Move this a little lower. Oh, everyone say support. Go like this. Support your ideas. Good. With examples. Make an X. Good. Make a tail. Details. That's a little bit funny one. Make a R. Reasons. Short quotes.
Short quote.
Say, don't quote the whole paragraph. Short quote. Go like this. Explain your quote. Elaborate. Interpret your quote. Okay. Wrap it up. Topic sentence. Turn the question around. Support. Ideas. Examples. Reasons. Short quotes, not long quotes, from the text. Make a little book from the text. Like this. Look back. Find a short quote. Cite it right on your hand. Cite it. The short quote. Explain it. Okay. Wrap it up. Connecting words. Transitions. Say also. Furthermore. Most importantly. However. Connecting words hold your thing together. Infer. Like you're reading between the lines. Point of view. Analyze. Break it down. Study the parts. Synthesize. Put it together. Compare. How are they the same? Contrast. compare, contrast, break it down, support, ideas, examples, details, specific details, short quotes, elaborate, wrap it up, connecting words. Good, good. What is this? Look back. Good. What's this? Fine. What's this?
Fine.
Short
quotes.
quote.
Short
What's
quotes,
this?
not long
Long
quotes.
quotes.
Good.
Long quotes.
Apostrophe, comma, colon. Look back. What's this?
Compare.
Compare.
Contrast.
Contrast.
What's this? Break it down,
Break it down.
analyze, synthesize. What's this?
Transition.
Linking words.
Excellent. So that's a few examples of what it could look like if you had taught the kids some of the vocabulary words with a gesture. Robert Marzano notes that vocabulary word presented non-linguistically, visuals, things like that, 32% better. So ask the kids, what can we do for DNA? And you have them go like this. What can we do for precipitation, evaporation, condensation?
Well,
Positive slope, negative slope. Combine two X's, combine like terms. Coefficient, 2x, 3x, 4x, coefficient. So this idea of getting kids to act out some of the vocabulary words. And then if we had time, I'd have you teach someone else. But instead, I'm going to pick Christine. Christine, you can't talk. You act them out. Everyone call out, take your mute off, what word Christine is trying to get us to say. Are you ready, Christine?
Yes.
No pressure. You have 30 seconds. How many can you get us to? No, 20 seconds. How many can you get us to say, I will count? Go. Cite it.
right.
Short
quote.
quote.
Short quotes.
Support.
Support.
Wrap it up.
Break.
Analyze.
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 Synthesize.
Synthesize.
Connecting.
Time.
Linking.
Give her a round of applause. She got 7. Unbelievable. Yay. So the idea there is you're trying to introduce a lot of words to kids and have them be able to understand the word in a slightly deeper way. And the great thing is you can check for understanding. If I say, show me apostrophe, and the kids go like that, for contraction or possession, I can see if they're with me. Also, I can remind them, don't forget, you need a short quote. You have to explain that. And so it becomes another way of communicating with your class without having everyone scream out the answer.
Yes.
You can easily check to see if they're with you. And I have a zillion of those. If you're interested, you can email me, and I'll provide you with some of that follow-up information. Okay, we are almost done, boys and girls. Where is the rest of this workshop? Okay, so that's words in motion. Here we go. Show me support, everyone. That's right. There's my little, show me ideas. Get a tap your head. Good. Evidence. Oh, evidence. I usually do a magnifying glass like that for the little kids. The text. Good. And then I could do a tall tale where I'd be like this. I could do a poem where I would wave down. But look back. So this would be a way to check to make sure the kids can read the word and be able to respond. They know what that word looks like, especially in the younger grades. But how could we? That was the AI one, Norm, I did for myself. Realized I had a T-shirt on. the capital letter, some of the younger kids, So we're trying to build a collection of what could that look like. And so that's our second strategy. And as I said, a lot of this goes to helping kids remember and then show you that they're doing it. Okay, it is 10:41. So I'm just going to be able to describe this last strategy very quickly. This is a thing about memory. All the things we're doing today thwart the forgetting curve, because if you act on it, if you teach someone, if you write about it, that will help you remember stuff, because the research shows that after 1 hour, 56% of stuff is forgotten. So, by 11 o'clock today, 11:30, you're going to forget, unless I've done some of these activities with you that help you remember. Okay, so the final strategy today is called quiz trade. And basically, if you've never done quiz trade with your class, you've got to try it. All you do is you have a list of questions on one side of an index card. Describe one of our most, and on the answer is on the back. So the kids create a card And in the beginning of the year, you can do questions like this. What's the first book you ever remember? Or describe one of your best habits, or describe 2 good moments from your summer. And so these are questions you can have initially where you're trying to find out about the kids. What's your favorite appetizer? But as the year progresses, 4 or more reasons to use a capital letter. And what happens is I would ask Christine my question, Christine, can you give me a reason to use a capital letter? And Christine would say,
at the beginning of a sentence.
So we're standing in the classroom, I'm quizzing her, and then she gives me her question. Christine, give me your question from your quiz trade card that you just wrote in your brain.
When is one time we should use a comma?
Excellent. We should use a comma in a series. So we quiz each other, and then we trade cards, and I take Christine's comma card, and I go find John. So your classroom is kids are milling about, quizzing each other with these quiz trade cards. It's a dramatically great strategy because it gets kids up and moving, and it gets them teaching each other what are the things you really need. And eventually the kids can write their own questions. So, and again, you can do it in all subject areas. Let me show you a math one. I have a zillion of these, go to a big workshop. What's the value of these coins? Explain how you know. And then on the back, it shows a simple answer. So the idea with quiz trade cards is that you're getting kids to be the teacher and the student. And again, you're reviewing material. If you feel uncomfortable, there's too much chaos, you can have them lined up like this and just shift down two lines. If you're worried about class control, there are other ways to structure it in such a way. Anyway, you all have been delightful today. I know that was a little fast, but I hope that was useful. There's a, whatchamacallit, thing on the screen. What's that called again?
Barcode.
Barcode. Low tech
Barcode.
Bill.
I knew that. Where you can stand
No,
that.
when did you use a barcode?
That's right. That's right.
Sorry, I couldn't help us.
Yeah. Have a great day. Thank you for coming. And let us know if you have any questions or you want to do any follow up. I believe in this stuff so much that I hope you'll go out and try some of these ideas with your classes. Okay.
Thank you so
Bye,
much,
everybody.
Bill.
Thank you.
Bye, Bill. Thank you
Bye,
so much.
thank you.
Nice, great job.